Dear friends, welcome to Book Talk. Before I move ahead, let me make a point. In today's world, there are lakhs and lakhs of books that are published each year. And even for a voracious reader, I don't think it is possible to read all the books. So then how does one go about? Through these clips, we try and bring you short stories, books, characters, so that even if you've not read the book, at least you'll know the gist of the story, which will further impel you to either pick the book or not pick the book. So the prime objective of this particular program is just that. Today, we have another very offbeat story for you. Now, this has been taken out of this particular book, 50 Great Short Stories by Rupa Publication. It is a nice book and it has many renowned authors with their short stories. So, the title of this particular story is The Bet. Now, it has been written by Russian author Anton Chekov in the year 1889. So, I'm sure you're going to like this particular story because the story is completely out of sync if you connect it with the current world. In a way that you will not find this kind of a story being written anymore. So Anton Chekov was a Russian playwright and a short story writer, and probably the best in the world, as commented by many authors and even as critics. And he was a medical profession. He was a doctor in the medical profession. And he once remarked that medicine is his legal wife, but literature is his mistress. So now let us go to the plot of this particular story. Now this is about a lawyer and a banker. It opens with the banker recollecting his thoughts, which go back some 15 years when he was hosting a particular party at his house in which there happened to be this young lawyer. Now, when the party was heating up, there were various discussions, and one out of that happened to be about capital punishment, that is death sentence versus life in the prison. The banker always felt during the discussion that death penalty is a softer way of doing away with the prisoner than to keep him in a prison all his life. But the lawyer had other thoughts. He felt life in prison is better than death penalty, because the person in the prison gets a chance to improve himself. So anyway, they were not heading anywhere. So suddenly this flamboyant banker threw up an idea and said, okay, lawyer, I would like to have a bet on this of 2 million rubles. And if you can spend 15 years in an isolated prison, I will give you 2 million rubles. The lawyer was very young and he had his whole life ahead of him, so he couldn't have refused. So he accepted the bet, and soon after the dinner was over, the banker arranged for an isolatory prison, and the lawyer moved into that. So thus started this particular bet, in which the strong-minded lawyer tried to defy all his ambitions and get into this particular bet. So once the lawyer was inside the isolated prison, he initially felt very lonely and depressed, but then he thought of getting into acquiring knowledge. So he started reading. He started reading books. He started playing piano. He started drinking wine, educating himself. So gradually he started grooming himself intellectually in the prison. And in phases, he started acquiring various kinds of knowledge, something like vigorous studies about language, about various languages. He had learned various languages in a particular period of time. And then he started studying a mix of science, literature, philosophy, and some random knowledge. He ends up reading 600 volumes in just about in the course of 4 years, which is not easy. Reading is one thing, but retaining all that is even more difficult. Then he followed it up with some gospel and theology and history of religion. So he was full time into reading, and he was not feeling the pinch of being lonely. See, friends, that is the advantage of reading in life. If you are reading most of the time, if you are not keeping your mind free, it's a big bonanza to your whole personality. In the final 2 years, the imprisoned lawyer reads immensely subjects of chemistry, medicine, philosophy, and at times he even reads Byron and Shakespeare. So all in all, he was developing very well intellectually. Now if we come to the banker, that guy was rotting. His finances had started dwindling. He had not left his habit of show off. He used to flaunt around his money, but that was now moving out of his hands. So one day, when a considerable time had passed, the banker thought that I am now left with very less money, and if I have to pay this man, this lawyer, the debt, I am sure I'll have no money to survive. So he was now a worried man. So and he was wanting to decide how to move forward. So he thinks that if I kill this particular lawyer, I don't have to pay him that the debt money, and then with that money I can live comfortably. So he plans to murder for money. So on the last day of the 15th year, he enters the room of the lawyer, and when he enters, he sees the lawyer who has got long hair, and he's sitting on a particular chair, and in front of the chair there is a table on which there is a note lying, which the banker picks up and reads, in which the lawyer has written that over my 15 years of intellectual studies, I have come to a conclusion that money is just like a goods. It's very fleeting in nature, and I think I don't require that 2 million rubles which this banker is trying to offer me. I have proven my point, and now I would like to go and stay with my friends and the community, and for sure I will not require this money for my balanced life. Now after reading this particular note, the banker is very pleased. He kisses the lawyer's head and retreats from the room and comes and cries that what has he become? He first wanted to kill this lawyer for money. Now he is not killing him also because of the money. So that is the story, which is very offbeat in nature. Ultimately, the banker, who is shocked to the bones, retreats to his room and starts crying. In a little while, the warden of the prison comes and tells him that particular prisoner has left. He has scaled the wall and he has gone out, and so the banker is relieved that he is off his back, but then the banker has a big guilt in his mind, and that is the end of the story. And but let me explain the story in a little more detail. Since there are only two characters, let me take the lawyer first. The lawyer had a tremendous mindset, a very strong one. He knew what he exactly wanted to do in life. Even when he was in a dungeon, he did not waste time. He studied and studied, and got so much of deep knowledge about the world that he finally renounced money and went his way. On the contrary, the banker, who was a flamboyant personality, had to fail, because flamboyancy doesn't last. So you can see in the story that the banker had dwindled his money. He had lost his personality, and he was on the verge of becoming a senile. So friends, this is what happens in life. You have to be very clear of what you want to do. So this is a very interesting story if you get to read. And that is the end of the story. And if you've liked it, kindly share it, because like you, there would be many people who would gain by reading this particular story. And also subscribe to our channel, and soon we'll come out with some more stories for you. Till then, goodbye and thank you.